Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, girl?
Hey, how are you, Ray Ray, all day?
I'm good. How you doing, E?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm reflecting on all the mess that has occurred this week.
Mm, let's see. I think we have to wait, 8 minutes before we start cussing?
Right, right. These are, yes, and it's definitely something to be mindful of.
Yeah, it's been some mess going on. Show have. Where you want
Mm.
to start?
Well, maybe we do some quick gossipy bits. We could do some of
Mm.
the Beverly Hills rumors that have been floating around, and then review
Oh,
Orange County and New Jersey because I do think both. Uh, well, I don't necessarily think that Orange County was kind of a filler episode, but I still think there's plenty to talk about what they're up to. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah. I think it was a filler too. It was
The
real
the
smart.
the sheer ooh, look, I caught it. The sheer uckery. Um, I caught it like a little oop,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Rhine, and I can't. I hate like the river, not like the river. I can't handle the man's name. That whole thing was something to behold, but I jump ahead and let me save it. So that's why I do think both are worthy of discussion.
Girl, that rhyme, that
Oh,
it's a reason why we don't eat the rind. It's they always say the nutrients is in the peel, but no, we don't eat the rind. The rind gets abused. It's always discolored and disfigured looking. It's
I always
never
cut that off the cheese.
you
I
know
always cut that off the cheese.
and this is what he wants to be called. It to me is befitting of how I see the situation, but
It truly is, to be honest with you, and I think that that's partially why the name just really gets to me.
whew.
But so a quick gossip, I found out recently
Mhm.
that I told you there's a rumor. Kathy had a meltdown in Aspen. That is, Kathy Hilton had a meltdown in Aspen, and we know this for a fact. And
Okay.
as a result, she called her husband. She was really upset with the girls. She sent Lisa Rinna a cease and desist. Now the rumor has elevated, yeah, and we know that she cease and desist ready and willing, right? She
Oh
said
yeah,
she
she
was,
said she would give it to her kids
yeah,
in a
yeah,
heartbeat. She said
without
herself.
blinking. She doesn't need to blink because she's got too much Botox. She wouldn't even hesitate. The blink of an eye is not appropriate for her. And so the rumor has escalated to, well, and then I told you, more than one source has said that it's basically now it seems like it's elevated to Kathy said to cease and desist from Lisa Rinna witnessing a few of Kathy's antics, not just one. Um, Maybe she kind of, I told you, I've already heard that she's, made a white privilege comment to someone on a staff.
Girl, here we go.
Right. And then now
So I
the
heard it too.
elevated rumor is that she called Sutton Strack's assistant the F word that rhymes with maggot. And I'm
Oh yeah.
biting that off of the article that was written and a couple of other YouTubers. So I'll just say shout out for the the
You
play
mean to
to answer
tell
it.
me she bought what? She doing all of this?
Well, honestly,
Allegedly?
allegedly, right? Allegedly speaking, of course. The thing of it is that I do. And welcome to that show, by the way,
For
everybody.
sure. If not already. The thing
Yes,
of it is that. Yeah.
allegedly speaking, of course. I believe Kathy Hilton is a meaner human being than we saw on the show. I think she got an angelic edit. I'm not saying who is hunky dory doesn't exist, and I'm not trying to diss Kathy Hilton. I'm just trying to be honest. I think this bee is way more of a bee because white privilege creates a lot of been rich for a long time kind of bee behavior. Okay,
Yeah, it's been a normalcy since at
right?
least 1400 and something.
Get out of here, right? Yes. So, I just think that, and we know that Kathy is very concerned about protecting certain reputations. And despite the reality, there is a tell all book that came out about their mother that is just wow.
Is that
And
the one by what's the girl? Paris?
no, no, no. This was written about Kathy Hilton by like a biographer. And basically that after that book, the least of Kathy Hilton's
What?
concerns of her about her mother's reputation should be the fact that she never cooked. Because that book alleges that Kathy was like a drunk that hung out in bars looking for any wealthy man to pick up the check and like to date. And that she trained her daughters to basically go
Girl,
and
shut
land a
up.
wealthy man, and she put him out to work. So that's the darker side of the situation and the life that those girls grew up in, which makes a lot of sense. Like apparently there's some incidences where the girls
E,
themselves
I
like
have a question. I
yeah.
have a question. Is it a known fact that she ran in the same circles as Nancy Reagan?
I don't know. I
Now actually she would be young, like 30 years younger. Yet and still, you know, folks over there is marrying older. They have all these young, old May December relationships.
yes.
So it wouldn't be far fetched that and with all the rumors about Nancy recently, stuff is coming out about folks.
Throat goats.
Well, baby.
Well, they do exist. They do exist.
But allegedly speaking, of course.
Yes. The thing of it is that anyway. I digress because that's kind of a rumor that's out there. It's out there. It's out there. There's a book about Big Kathy. That's what they called it.
Oh,
There's a
Big
rumor.
Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
There's
yeah.
a book about Big Kathy. If you want to go read it, that's your business. There are a lot of things in it. Kathy Hilton should be way more concerned about than her mama didn't cook. Okay, that's the gist of it. But I think here's the thing. I think it goes back to Kathy is they're trying to show an ugly they don't film anything you don't give them. So on top of during that period, Kathy was on a tirade. Apparently everybody left her and went to dinner in Aspen because she was taking too long, and she was mad about that. And when they got back, she was yelling and screaming and throwing things at the cast and producers. And that is when she called the Sutton's assistant the agate with an F word.
Heifer.
Yeah. And so basically, if you pair the two rumors that are floating around, this is what white privilege looks like to a staff member that, she wanted to make sure would relay a request to the DJ about a Michael Jackson song, and that she's throwing things and being abusive to production, including, so there you go. Those are the two rumors. Now, apparently, Lisa Rinna and Erica take huge issue with the slur at the assistant. And so that's part of the reason why Lisa Rinna got the cease and desist.
You heard it, so you can't talk about it. Gag you, gag you, gag you, gag you,
Yeah.
gag you.
Yeah. Like, oh, you've seen my bad behavior now, like all over the place, and you're the gossip on the show that'll use anything for a storyline. Gag you. It's like, bitch, you're fair game when it's shooting, when you're filming. This was
That's
off
trifling.
camera. this is apparently off camera, like when they weren't filming both incidences, but you were still on a girls trip.
You know, the fact that Lisa Rinna made comments that she made after receiving the cease and desist lets me know that based on previous history of seeing how Lisa Rinna behaves and moves in these streets,
Right.
especially how she moved with Kathy, it's surprising to know Lisa Rinna took this stance to say what she said.
Yes.
Because I think we all know discretion is a key characteristic for those Beverly Hills housewives.
Right.
Loose lips sink ships. The whole thing could crumble if you say the wrong thing. It's safe to say they have their own cancel culture within Hollywood.
100%.
Okay, based on whatever they got going on, it's all sorts of narratives and alternatives and whatnot people doing that are, that fit into that. But it's just real shock. Something Kathy said or did something. Period. That's what Kathy said or did something. Period. And that's that.
I agree. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Allegedly speaking, of course, but 100%. No.
Allegedly.
Yeah. You basically put in a nutshell what I was meandering with those two statements. Get what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. She said something. She said something, and guess what? Lisa's not going to give up this bone of a storyline.
Oh, please.
And that's how we knew, right? And you were like just how you said, when we saw her commenting on her IG about a cease and desist, to quote Alexander Diane Rogers, we knew it was on. It was game on, because that became the gossip. See, now everybody does the pre-press, right? We get to know about the gossip and the things drop about the storylines they're going to bring up on the show. We've gotten to that point with all of this. People are dropping this to have gossip and talk about all of it. We already heard that Teresa got real cray with Margaret. We already heard there was something more violent than the table flip. We already heard, all of that. So this is the precursor gossip they're laying. We already knew, even with Jen Shaw, we knew she got arrested, right? We knew she got arrested on camera. We kind of knew what the plot lines were. So now this is the groundwork being laid that, Aspen has been an explosive trip because of Eric's kind of antics and Kathy's antics. And I'm sure there's more antics than that, but those are the two plot lines that are dropping. And Kathy did not film the finale.
Sure.
She stopped filming in Aspen and did not shoot the finale. So I wonder if she'll pull a Mary and not be at the reunion.
I mean,
you don't need the check.
I mean, really don't. I mean, she can afford to pay them.
And if she's done with this foolish game, like Jewel,
it's gonna be good. This gonna be almost as good as Erica's stuff.
Yes, because
speaking of Erica, look dope.
Yep.
You heard them news? That headline, child.
Well, which one? The behind in the rent, or like the which one?
Let me see if I can pull it up. It's the news I heard.
Is it a legal update?
That she may have been found out in having knowledge of.
Oh, get out of here!
I did not hear funds by an ex-client who may have evidence of exactly what I just said.
Wow.
Evidence, child. And not the Owen rent. She behind, not like that. It was an actual, let's see if I can pull it up, but
yeah. I'm
Beverly
watching
Hills
it,
is
and
jumping.
hey, that's the top line. That's again in a nutshell. That's what we need to put. That's what you do in a nutshell moment. Beverly Hills is jumping. They're having a hot season. They I look forward to the mess. Oh, speaking of
Okay,
the
here we
season,
go.
oh, let's do it. Let's end on a proof note.
Girl. Let me go ahead and just plug this on in. But oh child. So apparently, you see it?
Yes, I do. Very nice.
RHOBH, Erica Jane. This is the U.S. Sun, child. Knowing her lavish lifestyle was funded. Accused of knowing her lavish lifestyle was funded by X Time. Let me see here. It was a pretty dress. Look at that. You see that dress?
I do. It's a nice, what is that? Chartreuse?
Oh, girl. Look at that.
Kind of a lime green, maybe. No, look at that. She married a troll doll with no hair. Just saying. Look at him dippity doo dah in that suit.
So it says Erica 50 and her company were named in a $2.1 million complaint, which was filed Tuesday, obtained by People. The lawsuit claims she aided and abetted her soon-to-be ex-husband and his law firm alleged financial wrongdoings, right? Mm-hmm. So the complaint is another misguided effort to blame Erica for the conduct of others, by Erica's attorney. So then the attorney said Erica has no law degree and never worked at or managed her former husband's law firm. So, it seems like Erica's side is contending she had no knowledge of anything going on with the law.
That's not true, actually.
It's like all she knew was she was getting paid, however, I don't even know how they worded that part. About what she knew about the money coming. I don't even know how they worded that.
The one of Tom Girardi's former employees has done a couple of interviews on Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald, and she has attested to when they first got married and like in the beginning that Erica was at the law firm working alongside all the time. So I don't believe that she had no understanding, no knowledge or any of that shit. However, I do think that once there was a certain, like, once she kind of had her own money to spend and things to pursue with her faux career and stuff, that she wasn't paying attention to it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think now what all of the lawsuits are trying to do is prove that there was some level of knowledge in order to claw back the money from her.
Yeah.
So I think they're all going to do it. And I honestly, I think that I still don't believe you had no idea that some things were deeply wrong. I think that maybe you just wanted to put your head in the sand to think that you could play the victim later, but it's not working because nobody cares.
You're
doing punk stuff like wearing those earrings to Aspen.
Girl, that was just adding insult to injury there, as far as I'm concerned.
Provoking. That's provocative. Intentionally provocative. And that makes a big message because those earrings are under a lot of scrutiny. They are ugly and weigh your earlobes down. So no offense, but like, what does it matter that you have such large rocks if they're pointing down and making your earlobes look like a pair of saggy titties?
Gold diggers don't care about nothing. A gold digger will take your money while you are seizing right after an act between the two, get dressed, and as long as they left while that person was alive and they got their money, they out. It is too close for comfort that her attitude is so stoic as PK described his their first year, I think, with them.
Right. Well, it's also, it just looks incredibly
Mm-mm.
entitled right now. Like that. It's like,
She can't. She has to save face though.
yeah.
She cannot. And gold diggers never let them see you sweat, because that means you're guilty of something. And if they feel as though you're guilty of gold digging, you can't be trusted. Period. That's pretty much you putting your reputation on the line. And in Hollywood, reputation is key. No matter how much she strips down, and no matter what she doing on on Vine and MySpace and Black Planet, I don't know. But
yeah,
no matter what, she needs to be upheld as the disenfranchised wife who didn't know what was going on. That's the easiest thing she could do.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. That's the only thing she could do to get out of looking like she stole folks' money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And because, she's been digging for a while, she has a mindset. And it seems to me, anybody who's come from humble beginnings like hers to where she is now, I would have a mindset of, oh, I'm not going back to that. Not after all this time. I refuse. I will lift the leg up. I will hike that hip to the right. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get me somebody else, if not already. And like she said, once she filed, which was what, in 2020, mm-hmm. she's been screwing other people since.
Oh, I agree. I agree. There's people that are funding her now, you know what I mean, because of all of the assets.
At least one person, like she said.
Yeah.
She said it herself on a reunion that she's sexually active. So I'll just say at least one.
Well, I think here's the thing. I appreciate, the fact that she's got some trash hanging out of her skirt, and the way that she's acting is going to make for some good television. The fact that she's walking in the building with toilet paper on her shoe, spiritually. It's a little bit more intense than that, to be honest, considering we're dealing with orphans and widows. So my apologies to them. Like, she's coming out with like both cheeks hanging out like PK saw.
Victims.
It's just... Yeah, it's just a really ugly story, and and she looks like she's making it uglier by her behavior, but they've set the tone for that. But speaking of ugly, that dinner and Heather Dubrow I don't know. I have some respect for how much they plug their own shit.
Yeah.
Constantly. Like, I am impressed.
Amuse bouche.
Right? Oh, no, but like the way that they're having this couples dinner, and that the storyline about their marital issues and how you should be together with couples that get along, and these are all friends. It's going along with their 7-year itch show.
Wait, what? The 7-year what?
Oh yeah, they have a spinoff coming out.
Yeah. Who does? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, who has that coming out?
The Dubrows.
Hmm.
Terry and Heather are going to be doing a TV show called The 7-Year Itch, where they're going to be getting together with couples and providing marital counseling and like, I don't know what else. I could not care less about this show or any of it. And that's where I like start to lose it with them, because they just are relentless in their pursuits of expanding their brand. Do you know what I mean? And I just get a little tired of it sometimes. I used to like Botched, but then I stopped watching it. I've heard that Terry's actually really not as good of a plastic surgeon as it's purported to be, but
Oh, allegedly speaking, of course.
allegedly speaking, of course. Yeah, and I honestly like either way. I'm like he's better than a lot of them, including Dr. Jen, who's got legitimate issues of employing someone that was not licensed that was using Botox from Korea because all of those and I believe it because they all run dirty like that. All of those doctor run med spa services, non-surgical cosmetic, all like the stuff that she's doing, they all run dirty. I mean, allegedly speaking, of course.
Oh yeah, Jen, she got
Yeah.
caught.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They had her on talking about she dished out some
Korean Botox.
illegal meds, and then she said she didn't, and they got her pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
on record,
They do.
allegedly.
They do. Allegedly speaking, there's a
Girl.
lawsuit. Yes. Well, and that's not there. This isn't alleged. There's a lawsuit. There's a lawsuit filed that shows that Dr. Jen, had physical knowledge that the Botox they were using was not from Allergan, was not serial numbered as a distribution in America. So it was brought over from Korea. But the thing of it is and yes.
Who ain't getting caught on these housewives? Who ain't getting caught?
And the thing about
every damn show got caught.
That to me was not surprising though. It just wasn't because that is actually pretty representative of a lot of the cosmetic surge, like the cosmetic health industry, because it becomes all about making money. It's retail healthcare. So yeah, she's guilty. It looks in this lawsuit, there's proof, there's exhibits of phone conversations where she's having an employee take the Botox like out of the packaging, and that there's Korean writing on it instead of American serial number, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not surprised. I'm not at all. Those once
FDA.
Yeah, not approved.
DEA. No, DEA is for control if it falls up under controlled substance.
So yes, but what I find
federal time.
She'll get fined. It's like a reprimand. It's a minor thing. Like you know what I mean? Like it's really like sadly it does not carry that high of a penalty.
Well, that sounds more like fraud than accidental. And fraud usually is a harsher sentence than, oh, I didn't know, like Jen Shaw's trying to claim. Like, I didn't know versus I did intentionally.
Well, I think there's a civil lawsuit that's going on. The civil lawsuit, can assert a lot of things, but because I worked in the med spa industry, and the thing that I know is that a lot of these shenanigans will go on, and you'll get a fine, and you'll get maybe a notice to the medical board, and then you have to do like I worked for this doctor, allegedly speaking, of course, but I worked for a doctor in West LA. And I managed a med spa down in Sunset Beach, and now I was in West LA, West Hollywood, and the doctor had gotten sanctioned and fined by the medical board for improper charting because he was basically having all of the front office staff dispensing medication. We were basically selling drugs. You want to get some laser hair removal and some Xanax. Like I had a girl walk out like in my first week will be like, she just got her armpits lasered, and she's like, and I'll take 10 Xanax. And they were like $12 a pill. And I'm like, what is happening here? What is happening here? And I went and dispensed them out of the medication, and I wrote down the chart notes, and then the doctor went over them reviewed everybody's notes at the end of the day and signed off on them. And I looked it up because I'm like, what kind of shady am I working for? And he had it was like, because they have to publish when you are when you're it's not fined, it's when you're cited. That's more what it is. So you've been cited that this is an issue, so it's like more of a slap on the wrist. I mean, it can become more of a problem, but especially if there was like some kind of adverse reaction that they could prove happened with that medication, and they can tie it all together, but I don't think that's what's happening. So,
Okay.
but I'm not surprised that she's shady as hell because they all are like that.
Fraudulent. Fraudulent.
Oh,
Fraudulent.
running fast and loose down in Orange County, especially when you're a small, like one woman, like business own business like that.
I get that from Jen, from
Yeah,
Dr. Jen. She
yeah.
seems like a
She just,
clout
yep,
chaser.
she
She
does.
seems like she needs that imagery
Hmm.
of success no matter what the situation is. She will fit success into it, as evidenced by her troubled marriage that we're seeing on the show.
100%. I
Doesn't make
agree.
sense that
He,
she now, I believe she's always felt as though her husband should do more, but
hmm
now she's trying to, change Ken Vanderpump Jr.
right.
He walking around with his dog. I heard someone say that it may be a support animal type of situation, but and I don't want to denounce anyone's, mental insecurities, if that's what you want to call it, because I don't know what it is, just to give it a blanket name.
Right.
But I don't think that's it at all. I feel in my gut that man, like he described, he never had a job playing poker. Now I love to play poker myself,
Yes.
as a hobby, but not to go at it full time because I didn't want to work.
Well,
He gives me that perception of he gonna find it the way he can,
yeah,
like a
100%.
Federline,
Hmm.
like I don't know who else, Sherry Shepherd X, a
Oh,
Kendu, those Stevie J, in my opinion, those users who get with successful women. Now they are successful in their own right, maybe not, but it's obvious as we see at the end of those relationships, just the type of men they were. And they all seem to have that same aura about them, as they take advantage of that woman who gives him that much more than what he actually deserves.
I agree. I thought finding out that he played poker for a living. I mean, Terry was so direct. No drugs, no coke, blah blah. I'm like, God, you're such a doctor. Like, you're used to asking people direct questions, but you're
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I was
I
like, no
like it.
lube, Terry, no lube. Damn. Like,
I liked it.
damn.
Make him
Yeah.
accountable. Make him talk.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like
Shit.
I think this is Terry's, like, you're on a show, but clearly Ryan, get out of here. I'm sorry. The name
Girl,
alone, like,
just roll my
however
eyes.
that name came to be, it's the worst of whiteness right there. Okay?
Ooh,
I'm
ooh,
just gonna
ooh.
say it. Ryan,
Ooh, doo, doo,
listen.
doo.
Even when Terry, right? When Terry said, remember when he was saying to Heather, Ryan, right? I'm gonna have to process that. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, you said it, Terry. I'm gonna have to process that too. It's still in HR processing. I'm not letting that pass go. But I thought, he doesn't drink at all and he played poker for a living. I'm like, I know you were talking about emotional support animal. I had even said, like, I wonder, allegedly speaking, and with all due, a little on the spectrum, maybe. Like,
Mm,
I'm just saying, there's
yeah,
just
something about it.
there's a little, maybe a little, like, high functioning Asperger's. Just the whole, like, we're not gonna talk about this anymore. Like, the way and just all of it is like, ooh, you are not gonna work for TV, cheese. Um,
Yeah, no.
and she, on the other hand, is actually, in my opinion, a very real example of an Orange County housewife, or like an Orange County woman, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of, she married down. She
Mm.
married someone that she maybe enjoyed doing the do with. She's carrying the load, and while she was working a bunch, she was letting him be the stay-at-home parent and doing all of that, right? And not expecting him to contribute, and staying that way while she was, like you were saying, clout chasing. And that is a very, very, very seductive, um sick industry. I have to tell you, once a doctor starts to see patients like dollar signs,
Mm-hmm.
because even back when I was working in the med
Yeah,
spa
the care is
industry,
secondary.
oh, 100%, 100%, 100%. And so, you know, it's so interesting to me to be like, okay, you don't drink a drop of alcohol, never have, and your wife is falling over before the food is served,
She
you
was
know,
towed down.
like
Towed
naked,
down.
wasted, like Tamara Judge, naked, wasted.
And, and you know and isn't she on medication already for her leg issues that she says she has?
That would make some sense with the level of like intoxicant, like the slurring and the whole, like I was like, whoa. But
Hmm.
I I just thought, to me it's a sign whenever you have a couple that's on such a high contrast. Sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like I think Candy and Todd and certain things, there's examples of couples that even like Margaret and Joe, you know what I mean? But like even Margaret will complain when Joe's, going too far because she doesn't do it at all. So I just
Mm-hmm.
think that, whenever there's a couple that has certain habits that are extremely out of sync with one another like that, it's always a sign, not always, but it's
Mm.
definitely something to look at. But then you put the whole thing on top of it and you're like, oh boy,
I
but
wish
I
I
do
would.
think,
What'd you
go
say?
ahead, please. I was going to say, I do think that what we're looking at is a legitimate life, though, potentially unraveling before our eyes, unlike the Noella storyline and unlike, some other
The
nonsense.
door. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
It'll
that,
be very
wow.
interesting to see
Hmm.
how this pans out, how this plays out. Because that's a mess.
Yeah, because it's like, I wonder if she's a slow burn. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta hand it to her. She's got some skeletons in that closet, because not on top of being married to the crusty end of a cheese and using uh dirty boat. No, it's not dirty. I won't say that. Just like out of the country
Questionable.
Botox, and allegedly speaking, of course. And
Allegedly.
yes, she's also rumored to have been sued by a former lover that was significantly older than her for $895,000 for her med school tuition and for
Oh
egg
yeah.
raising, right? So, and that was settled. And so she settled with that person. So she is an interesting character. She clearly
Mm.
and has a story. So I don't know if she's a slow burn, because the way she comes off is like kind of like dry toast. You know what I mean?
I
But
think she's a glutton for punishment myself.
yeah,
It's like, girl, the
yeah,
writing's on the
true,
wall.
true. Yeah, I'll give you that. I
It's
will.
like, you know how some women, I guess I don't want to use Oprah, but have that Oprah complex to where they make certain amount of money, that certain foolishness that comes their way, they can ignore or,
Mm-hmm.
not
Right.
or not be a deal breaker.
Yes, I
She
agree.
seems like that type.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, I think that's how they got to this stage. But that's the thing about reality TV that we've seen time and time again, haven't we not?
Mhm.
That it will strip that away. He's gone. This isn't going to make it. This relationship isn't going to make it, especially if she has another season.